Holistaplan presents Tax Time with Jeff Levine. Let's talk taxes.
Hello everyone, Jeff Levine here, and it is great to be back with you again. With our time together today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Child and Dependent Care Credit, and specifically some of the nuances and differences that are applicable for 2021 that are different than other years, right? That are kind of special for this year and open up some planning possibilities. And we have to start with, of course, the maximum credit amounts for this year. Generally speaking, the maximum credit amount that a family with one qualifying child can receive is $1,050, whereas a family with two or more qualifying children can receive, in general, a maximum credit of $2,100 as a child and dependent care credit. Well, this year in 2021, those amounts are nearly quadruple to $4,000 and $8,000 respectively. So this is a real boon for those families with younger children. Younger here being those children below the age of 13. They potentially qualify for this credit amount. And in order to get the maximum credit amount, a family with one qualifying child would have to spend $8,000 or more on qualifying expenses. A family with two or more children would have to spend $16,000 or more, which, we're talking about daycare or other types of eligible expenses. It's not really that inconceivable to rack up $16,000 or more of expenses in a year when we're talking about two qualifying children. So there may be a pretty big refund coming to those couples this year that they're not used to, right? Again, previous maximum credit, two or more children, $2,050 $2,100 this year, $8,000. And by the way, that's on top of the enhanced child tax credits that apply for 2021 as well. Which brings me to the next key difference for 2021 as opposed to the quote-unquote regular child and dependent care credit, and that's that it's fully refundable. So even if a family does not have enough income taxes to offset or to eat up the full credit amount, they will still benefit from whatever credit they are entitled to. If they have a income tax bill of $3,000, for instance, that credit can fully offset the $3,000 tax bill, plus they could get a $5,000 additional amount on top of that back. And so one of the important things from a planning perspective is to begin to project out these differences now so that you can identify potential windfalls for your clients today and help them to create a plan for that amount come next March, April, etc., when these refunds occur. Because we know that if a big refund goes into their account and there's no plan, the big refund is also going right out of their account, right? It's going for a vacation, it's going for that new car, it's going to be for we've been talking about redoing the kitchen, and not that any of these things are wrong or bad or that you should, absolutely avoid them at all costs. But of course, if we identify now that there would be potential tax savings and create a use for them, such as, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this would be an opportune time to begin to contribute to a 529 plan for your child. Or perhaps we're going to fund a Roth IRA or an IRA account that otherwise would not have been able to be funded this year. Now is the time to look to do that. So again, some real interesting differences this year that could create much larger credits than we might otherwise see. So identifying that now is critical, and you can do that, of course, with the help of tax software. A lot of times the things that applied last year are basically very similar this year, but the tax rules may have changed. So with a couple of quick button clicks, you can identify where, for instance, a child and dependent care credit may help to produce a much larger tax savings and how that might impact your client's overall plan and strategies for this year, for early next year, and going forward. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Ben Birkin to show you an example of this in action using the Holistaplan tax planning tool. Thanks so much, everyone, and see you real soon. Ben?
Thank you, Jeff. This is Ben Birkin, Vice President for Customer Success and Engagement at Holistaplan. And I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about how we can use the scenario analysis tool within Holistaplan to show the differences in this child and dependent care tax credit that Jeff was just talking about, particularly as it relates to looking at 2020 versus 2021. So I've already pre-built a couple of scenarios here into the scenario analysis tool. To keep things simple, I've assumed that between 2020, which is in my first column here, and 2021, everything has stayed exactly the same, from income, deductions, all that stuff is going to be exactly the same. And I want to do that so I can highlight the two differences that Jeff talked about, and then show about how you might consider thinking about this as you're talking about it with your clients. So for this particular couple, this is a married filing joint couple. They've got two kids between the ages of 6 and 17. They've got adjusted gross income of about $144,000 across all their various sources. Now, in the 2021 column, I've already expanded the non-refundable credit section, and we can see that they got a $2,000 credit per child. They had $10,000 with dependent care credit expenses last year for a calculated credit of $1,200. So combined total non-refundable credits of $5,550 between everything that's all up here, including the foreign tax credit. So their total taxes before refundable credits, there's some other taxes built in here too, but I'm not going to look at that right now because they're the same between both scenarios. $77.58. Now you might already look and say like, wow, with the same income, they're looking at a $13,000 tax bill in 2021. I'm not sure that I got anything out of that. But keep in mind that in 2021, both the child tax credit and the dependent care credit have moved from the non-refundable section to the refundable section. And the way the tax form, the 1040, has you work through this, you do the non-refundable tax credits first, you get your taxes, and then you go to the refundable credits. What do we see? Well, just like we see in the refundable child tax credit, remember this has moved from the non-refundable side to the refundable side. It's also increased in its amount. And because these folks are under the $150,000 adjusted gross income level, they're looking at a $3,000 per dependent per child tax credit. So we're already doing better than we did last year in terms of credits. We've also got a higher credit amount, and we note that here, right? So in 2021, the dependent care credit expenses, you get an increase of $8,000 per dependent max and $16,000 max for the whole household, for a calculated credit here of $4,000. So same level of expenses, same number of kids, we now have much more in credits than we did in 2020. So that when we scroll down to the very bottom and we see these $10,000 of total refundable credits, that knocks our total tax bill down from $13,020 to $3,020. So nothing changed with your clients. They made the same amount of expenses, they made the same amount of money, but their total tax went down by about $4,700. Right now, that can be a significant refund. And to the extent that you're using within Holistiplan our withholding calculator, and I haven't done any of that here, but you could say, okay, this is how much they're having withheld from their paychecks. This is how much they might have paid in from estimated taxes. You can forecast potentially the refund that folks might have and plan ahead for it, right? So like Jeff was talking about, if you know there's going to be a refund coming, the more advanced notice you're able to tell your clients, the better that you might be able to direct that into, say, a 529 savings plan or a Roth IRA contribution or whatever might be eligible, your clients might be eligible for. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you continue using Holistiplan to show these different things from year to year and how you can be a tax planning hero for your clients.